What is going on, everybody? We're back at it. Another stream and a live. Bad time I have a cough too. Excuse me. So we are talking about something I've been looking forward all year to talk about this. You guys know I'm a big gamer. I love gaming. Is something I grew up on. Is a passion of mine. But before we do that, do me a favor. Hit the like, share, and subscribe. As always, this is the Spartan HQ Network. Let's get this guy in here because he's jumping for joy. He's jumping for what's the word I'm looking for? Cuba Matata. What? It's better than earthquake.
What's going on? Going on, everybody? This is CBN Tech Talk, also known as Black David, also known as Bear Paul. I'm surprised when I cut that one off the name, but it's all good. I'm glad to be on this topic today because this has been, I don't know, this is one of the debatable topic between the OG gamers and the lame ass gamers that we have out here today. I am a computer nerd, sometimes a Bible nerd, but I'm a big time gaming nerd. And based on the topic, it said a lot about the present state of gaming today, where I feel like there's not much of a challenge like it used to be. Hey EJ, how you doing? And I really hate it because the good old days when gaming was really competitive, it make your brain burn, but it forced you to think outside the box. But it's a lot to say consider what's going on. And I'm
See,
hoping every other gamer head who feel the same way or feel different will come on this channel, come on this platform today and get us the two piece because there's a lot to say, to be totally honest. I'm talking about from the days of the Kalinko, the Commodore, Atari 2600, Atari 3200, the Jaguar, the PlayStation, the Sega Genesis, the Sega Saturn, the Sega CD, the Panasonic 3DO. Yo, I know game console. Okay,
David, I couldn't tell. Honestly, I couldn't tell you knew so much gaming. Like you just look like a guy who has collection of screens behind.
really, really.
um,
Okay.
it is funny to me because gaming is not what it used to be. Completely. Can we be at least all agree on that?
How would I put this? It's not like it used to be. It almost become lame and commercial because I will used to bump. I can't say I bump head with my son concerning this topic. I kind of like unanimously they tell like it is. Perfect example, Fortnite. The dumbest,
Oh
most
God, don't get me
underrated,
started.
this overrated piece of chat of a ah. This one, Fortnite is worse than Jump Force. If anybody knows what that game is, Fortnite is a salable full of disaster and nonsense and poop. But somehow it's going on this strong because you have a generator of lame gamers. Keyword lame gamer. They claim they're really gamers, but they're not really gamers. They haven't tried play a particular game that will whoop in their ass and take a level of IQ. Keyword IQ to think outside the box. But then again, they rather have something very easy for them to repeat the same thing over and over, so to speak. And once I pitch me about Fortnite, you have so many unnecessary character in that game that defeat the purpose. It did not make any complete common sense. And to be honest, though, I'm trying to figure out who's worse. To be seriously, I think Fortnite is worse than Jump Force or the other way around because the way they play the game, They're using the same game engine system for Apex Legends. If you understand gaming and understand gaming engine like the Unreal engine, one of the more popular engines used to build game upon, Fortnite and Apex Legends have similar game engine and systematics and mechanic, but it's very easy for me to pick up because if you have played some of these games back in the day up to now, you can tell if some game using the same system or not.
Hmm.
Just like Batman game, there's a lot of game I have built from the Batman gaming engine that they use.
Spider-Man is a great example. I'm not
Woo!
sure.
You hit it on the nail.
I'm not positive they're using the same engine, but when I played it the first time, like this feels like Batman in a way,
Bingo,
and I'm
bingo.
like, oh, and wow, this is weird but good at the same time.
And this is
Weird
the
because
problem.
why are they using the same fucking engine? And why? Before we hang on, Paul. I mean, David, hang on. Let's get started, ladies and gentlemen. Please stand for our president elected, Mr. President. How are we doing tonight,
Doing all right, sir. Good evening.
I'm sure Mr.
David?
President played some old school game and he retired because he didn't like how things were changing. Hey, you cannot argue because the 80s and the 90s were the boom for gamers. Oh no. Jedi Mike, you too? Bring your
Jedi
ass over
Mike, the
here.
link is in the chat. You're
Oh
more welcome to come
Lord.
up.
Oh Lord.
I
Jedi
have
Mike.
the link in the chat. You can welcome and come up.
Oh Lord. This guy. You gonna have a well, I'm telling you, the 80s and the 90s. Sometimes if you don't have an eye, you will not pick up on it. You will not. 'Cause I played the Batman game to the point where I was trying to get the most combo. Not too
Oh,
many
I played the
games.
shit out of that fucking game. I'll be honest with you.
Arkham game Rocksteady was. It was. And here's the thing. The thing about the Batman fighting engine, it was so unique, and you had to understand the sequence and the combination and the timing. This everything had to do with timing. If you're not alert in that type of game, it's not meant for you. And I think that was the best iconic game built by far. Because Batman broke a barrier for building game in that type of format. But before that game, no one can forget Legacy of Kain. Cannot. That game was another game from the PlayStation 2 era that I am mad they never tried to bring that game back. There's so many iconic games that it could sort of be classic game to be the Hall of Fame game to build upon that and do better. The game that to me sucks. I know I will get a lot of pushback. I could care less right now. We are live on the air. It's Call of Duty. To me, Call of Duty is the glorified version of Navy SOCOM back in the PlayStation days.
So, why do you hate Call of Duty so much, David?
Compared to the original game platform that developed that started Navy SOCOM. You know the game called Navy SOCOM?
Hmm.
That was the first of a kind that Call of Duty is based off. For Navy SOCOM, it was so uniquely different, whereby there was a rumor, which would totally turn out to be true, that actually Navy SEAL soldiers were using the game for like regular training, mental training.
I
And
remember that. I actually do remember that
bingo.
very well.
And a lot of people were afraid to compete with that particular team because they say anyone who compete with them was demolished. It was like an unfair advantage because the game was based off of what they do, but it was totally unfair when they actually decided to play it, which is not fair because you talk about people who understand the synaptic about fighting in the field, and you have them play the game and they're just having fun. That's many teenagers or kids who think they're all bad. And like, oh, okay, here come another group of victims. Let's play around with them. 'Cause I recently saw a grandpa who was a retired, I don't know, army ranger, I'm not sure, but that guy is the most dangerous sniper. He sniped you from a distance without using the scope. And he's laughing. He's streaming himself live, sniping people. And I'm like, what game the guy playing? Let me make sure and put it to notes. I'll never play that game. Because I bump into him. I don't want to be a victim. Because yeah, too many people try talk any type of. They try talk a lot in Call of Duty. They think they're all bad until they meet the right team that's just for real.
Absolutely.
Real gamers are slowly walking away from some of these dumb games because they realize the game is not a challenge. It's not. It don't challenge your IQ. It don't challenge your intellect. It don't make you think outside the box. So I do have a problem with watered down, dumbed down game, which I don't choose to play. I look for the hardest game to play that will force me to think, that force me to get my brain juice going like bananas and trying to figure like, yo, how you beat the like? Let me strategize. Those type of games, not these repetitive. Because you cannot beat the game, you gotta hack the game. Why? Now, I think what destroyed the gaming industry is the DLC, the download
Oh God, don't get me
content.
started with that.
Ah,
My
there's a
hey, before we move on too far, Paul, you want to jump in here for a second? Can you give your opening thoughts?
On what specifically?
The topic tonight is why was old gaming more harder than newer games? I know you haven't really played a console in a while, but
Well,
but
again, I don't have a reference. Especially for the newer. To me, it seems like the newer stuff may be, in my view, harder than the new ones because, again, a lot of the complexities that are involved in what these games, there's a lot more story. There's a lot more setup. Certainly in these newer games than the titles that I'm used to. So again, I go back to the original Pong game and the Telestar and the Atari 2600 and the Tandy equivalents and the Atari 5200 and NDS and Sega Sega system and then the
mhm.
Sega Genesis. I mean, and then I made a transition. Then I went to computer games after that, and so so that's kind of my history with it. And since then, I've been mostly a retro gamer. So, David, I certainly appreciate you saying games that are repetitive, but that's honestly what I like. That's my experience. The greatest thrill in arcade games, especially back in the day, was knowing that you went into the pizzeria shop and knowing that your name was number one. So at the end of the game, when the game was over, you put your initials in or whatever, and everybody knew who it was. And so PTB would be number one on the game or in the top five or whatever it was at the game. And it was like, I own this game. That was the I am the master, right? That was the thrill back then, was about, yes, repetitive, but again, you had the highest score and
but
you
let me
had bragging rights in the neighborhood, throughout the neighborhood, that nobody is like everybody was gunning for you. So that was the thrill back then. I don't know what the thrill is now with games.
let me
Also on my
let
game,
me put
yeah,
back on that. I won't say the game retro game was repetitive. It was more challenging. It didn't feel like repetitive because what you mentioned for a perfect example with Pac-Man. Pac-Man has so many different stages and it got harder and harder as you play it. And you
no,
are
no,
right.
I didn't want to say it got harder. It got faster, but for a lot of these games, there was a pattern to how you went and manipulate, even at a high speed. They didn't give you any more challenges except for the speed. But again, there was a way that you had to act and, more importantly, react. You got to understand also back in the day, especially with the arcade games, especially if you were going for number one, it was
As a
also
many
about the physical toll that it would take on you. Because again, if you were that good, you could be on that game for hours. And so it was constant, exactly, constant. It was a mental And physical challenge, it was the guy's looking to close the store, and you're still going.
Paul, I'm gonna cut you off 1 second here. They even made a movie off arcade. Does anybody remember what game that was? I mean, what movie that was?
Well, there were a few.
Alien game?
There were
Was it
Tron.
Alien
One
game?
was Tron.
Tron. That's the one I was.
But there
looking
were
for right
others
now.
also. Star was that the last Starfighter was also another movie that was
Exactly.
based
Yes,
on.
that's another one.
And
Yeah,
now,
so
in almost 2025, I'm saying because we're almost there. They have a comeback. You even said to me a while back, you and your wife go to his arcade place. You pay for what?
there's a place in New Jersey. They have several locations. It's called Yestercades, and the place is set up where you go in. They have retro arcade games, so all the games from the 80s, all the standing gaming consoles from the 80s. You pay one price. So say like for $20, you can be in there all day. The problem back then was you had 25 cents or 50 cents or whatever you had, $2, whatever your allowance was, you had that to go on and you had to make it last. And again, in order to get masteries, it would cost you, especially in today's dollars, it would cost you many fold of that. But for $20, for $25, you're in there all day. And they also had gaming consoles. So again, they had a station set up where they had couches and sofas with the NES, with the PlayStation, Xbox, or whatever. So you had 70-inch screens, 50, 60, 70-inch screens where you can play those games if you want to. They had a library of gaming discs and whatnot. You put your game in and do that. You had your video games. You had you had pinball machines. You had pool tables. But it was like you could, in fact, you could even rent the place for parties. And you can, yeah, exactly. So. Yeah, so that's the environment that I'm used to. So again, endurance. In fact, I remember there was this one story that actually made the local news where you had this guy was playing for like 24 hours straight, and the owner, I guess, still allowed it to go on or whatever because I guess back then you guys remember like Guinness Book of World Records. They were always coming in track stuff. So I think he was trying to set a record for the longest. Playing, and keep in mind this is on 1 quarter or 50 cents or whatever it is.
Jesus Christ.
So I'm saying. So again, that was the thing because there was no the thing. What I would say about these newer gaming consoles and concepts is they allowed you to save, and that made a lot of people think that they were better than they were.
Bingo.
Because who cares? Okay, I'll come back tomorrow, save it, put your password in, pick up where you left off. But no, if you lose, that means you have to start all over again. You're knocked off the pedestal all the way back to hell, and you have to work your way out of it. So when you lost, it's like you felt it. But now you could be on stage 118 or whatever. It's like, I'm tired. I got to go. Let me save it and I'll pick up. No. So again, I'm very old school and traditional when it comes to my gaming.
Yes.
In that, again, it was either feast or famine. You lose. Now, again, if you had the money, and also, again, your resources may be limited. But again, let's say if you did lose, some of the games would allow you to, again, put in another quarter or 50 cents and to continue. Now, some games, I don't remember the titles, but some games only allowed you to do that only so much. Maybe 3 times, and then it was over. But again, the idea of being able to just pick up where you left off, I think that, that made a lot of guys think that they were better than what they were. But then your time, your mental, you had to be locked in, okay, especially when you figured out the patterns and how the game, because after a while you got to a point where, again, the gaming, the programmers, you got to a point where in your mind you figured out the program. So you would make moves that didn't make any sense. You would move to the bottom left or whatever, but you knew because of the way you figured out how they programmed the game. If I go here, then everyone's going to line up and I'm going to shoot them and they'll be dead because you figured it out. So again, it was you against the programmer looking for those quirks in the game. Say, I got you. I figured you out. And so for me, like I said, gaming back then was a exactly 20-second countdown to continue. and you'd be like, man, give me a quarter. Nah, man, you didn't give me my quarter from last time. Man, just give me a quarter, man. I don't want to lose this. And it's like the bomb
Very
is gonna go
exciting.
off. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Man,
So
So let me ask you guys a question really
when
fast.
Paul talked
Does
about
you,
it,
do
it
you
brings
guys
back
know?
memories.
Hang on, David. Do you guys remember? Do you know which was the hardest game at all times? There's one game in history, and they just broke
Centipede?
the record. David, your
Was it
turn. I mean,
Centipede?
Paul, your turn. Nope.
I don't know, maybe Tetris, because I know
There you go.
Tetris would
Stretches. It was
Tetris would
stretches.
get to a point because again the only thing that Tetris did was again the blocks would fall so fast. Again, your reaction time. It was a physical thing to get your mind to
Exactly.
be able to react and place the object in the proper place because it was like this after like da 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 da.
So the
And-
level you had to reach, it was level 99. And after that, the game crashes, goes back to 1.
mhm.
Then expect the game, anybody can go past
Yeah,
level 99 because it was like, phew, 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 phew. I'm like, I'm
yeah.
just,
It's hard to you got to keep at when you start getting those higher levels. You have to keep
Mhm.
the blocks almost down to the bottom. So
There you
you
go.
would have almost like a 1.6 second response time in order to. It's like a pitcher. They say a pitcher. And the hardest thing to do in sports is to hit a baseball. Baseball's coming at you at 90 miles an hour, and you have less than a second to make a decision as far as when to swing or what to swing at. And half of it's guessing anyway. So that's how it was with Tetris. It got to a point where yeah, I can get up to maybe level 33 or something like that. But when it started to drop like that, it was almost
I
impossible
think the
to
highest I ever got was like 9 or 10.
yeah, it was hard. It was very difficult at that time. But that's the only way they can get you back then. Again, they didn't. And also keep in mind that these games, these were 8-bit, 16-bit. Maybe I remember the first arcade game. I think it was Neo Geo. That had like a 32-bit arcade console or something like that. And so again, you also have to understand there's only so much programming that you're able to do because you had back then you had a limited amount of RAM and ROM to operate in. So the only thing they could do is make things go faster, but they couldn't make the games necessarily more complex because there was only so much data you can put into the cartridge or put into the arcade console. So again, speed became the thing that would ultimately get you, which is one of the reasons why the games I think was more challenging back then because again, it required much more of hand-eye coordination and reflexes. Yes, Missile Command was definitely harder back then too. But again, it became a physical strain. You would be sweating. You would be your palms would get if you had the NES console, your
Oh
palms would get
God.
sweaty and whatnot, and you were like wiping down the console because of just the physical exertion that you were doing. Now again with these games, yes, I mean you have more complex console controllers, but again, there's a pause. And I'm saying certainly in the arcade game area, there was no pause. Del Monte Green Beans, man, long time, brother. Good to see you. Salute. So those are the things that, again, from that foregone era, where it was either kill or be killed, or it's like again, if you lose, there is no continue. It's do over. You got to work all the way up. You get to the final boss, and if you lose, it's over. You got to go through all 99 bosses again or whatever it was until you get to that final one. And for me, it was always a quirk with me for some reason I can never explain why, and it may be something in the game. There were certain bosses that I would just breeze through. But then for some reason I would get stuck on a boss that I've beaten before many times. But I don't know if I don't know if I was tired. I don't know if I was, it just, for some reason, this boss I just can't get by him today. And I've beaten him, like I said, 8 times out of 10, 7 times out of 10, I beat this boss and I move on. But I just can't get this guy today for some reason.
He like I
Something's
got
That's
your
off.
how
number.
it
He like I
was.
got your number. He like I got your number now. You ain't leaving me.
That was how it was for me when it came to Mario, Super Mario 3. or Super Mario Brothers world. I am kicking ass. I'm kicking ass. Or trying to get to this world, dude. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to fucking kill somebody, and
Yeah.
I'm out of lives, and I'm done. I'm like, you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
And if
And
you play with two
sometimes it's
players,
like sometimes you gotta pull back because in your mind it's like, I got this guy. I'm just gonna go and just go right through him. And I don't know what it is. It could be a little glitch. It could be you. But it's like you have to almost like learn again. Okay, calm down. You're rushing it because you're trying to get you're looking past it, but you're not engaging it the way you did before. And so because of that, you're slipping up or you're making mistakes or whatever that you normally wouldn't make because your thing is, I'm just going through this guy to the next one. And oftentimes you would get stuck. And so, yeah, absolutely. And sometimes it would be like, I know we used to play at me and Eric, there was this game Castlevania for NES that we used to play.
oh yeah,
Castlevania.
sit around.
Yeah. And it would be like it wouldn't be the last. First of all, I never beat Dracula. I got so close. It's like, the bars are counting down. I got to one bar and I thought I killed him. Like, it was like we both landed at the same time. I put the killing stroke on him, but somehow he put it on me also, and I couldn't get past him. And I never beat Dracula, but I got to everybody. But it was the same thing. And there were certain stages where I would just get stuck, and I had to, calm it down, take a mental, breathe in, breathe out, or whatever, and just kind of come back to it and just take it on. But but also another thing about the games back then. The goal of the game was to retire the game. So, David, you're talking about complexity. They want to keep you engaged in the game, but the goal back then was to retire the game. Especially
Yep.
on those early consoles, they used to have it where if you get to the last level or the last boss, they said you take a picture of that victory or whatever it was. You send in the picture to the game manufacturer. They sent you like a badge of honor that you would then attach to the outside of the case or put on your jacket or lapel or something. It's like, you are the mission captain. You've earned this title of master or whatever it was. The idea was to retire the game and put it on the shelf and say, you know what? Yep, I got all the way to the end. I beat the last boss. I conquered the adversary, and now you look forward to the next game. If you retired Pitfall, okay, Atari 2600 Pitfall, then okay, I conquered Pitfall. Now bring on Pitfall 2. And then I would conquer that one, and then look for if they came out with another sequel or something like that. That was the way you did it. But now it's like these games are like in such a way that you just want to stay infinitely involved or engaged. But where's the victory? I look forward to winning the game and seeing the credits. They would play a video, like the music, the victory celebration, like the end of Star Wars, the throne room scene, where the title credits are going and they give you all of the programmers' names. And it's like a scroll that goes up and says, the credit 1982 copyrights, Konami, Japan, da 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 da. And it's like, yes, it was like getting the medal at the throne room scene at the end of Star Wars. That's what it was. I am being celebrated for my victory.
Hold up, I had a
But
cheat how to save your game without saving back in Nintendo. I used to leave it on, pause it, walk away, go do my thing, go to school. But if your mom saw that, it goes click. I'm like,
Yeah, and she should too. And she
no,
should too. And she should too. That's cheating.
no,
Well,
it's
leave the
not.
game
It's
on.
smart.
well, hold on,
Wasting your
Mr. Bennett.
parents' electricity so
Mr.
you can
Bennett,
go off into school.
I
Nah,
don't give a
turn
fuck.
that thing off.
you
Turn that
did
thing off.
All right,
name
let's
all
get
this
Jedi Mike in
fuckery.
here.
Hold on.
Jedi Mike, what's going on, my man? How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Not
Hey,
bad,
man,
not
good
bad.
to
Long
see you.
time, my man.
Yeah, good to see y'all. Hope you guys
Likewise.
doing good.
Yes, sir.
So we
Well,
got
let
on
me
this, man. Like, give me a
well,
little.
hold
I
on.
know
Let me
you're.
let me
I know you're
let
a
me
gamer.
oh,
Yes, I am. Yeah, I am a gamer. Currently, right now, that's not dilemma, but it's my time I have away, away from my wife and stuff. So, yeah, I go to Marvel Rivals. Currently, right now, Call of Duty Black Ops. Sometimes Fortnite, whenever somebody want to be creative and stuff. Rainbow Six Siege. I prefer that over Black Ops. Um, but that's just me. More of close encounters, high intensity. You know, but yeah, no, Marvel Rivals right now. That's where I'm on right now. My mains are Iron Man, Hawkeye, Rocket, and Winter Soldier. So
Well,
I
here's
have
the
a
thing.
question for you now. I got a question. Are you an Xbox guy or PlayStation guy?
I'm PlayStation. Yes, yeah. My wife she got me the Spider-Man PS5 PS5.
Oh, the side plates ones.
Yes. Hmm.
Oh, that's a nice one actually. I got the plain white, but as long as you're a PlayStation guy, you're still welcome on the channel.
Hmm.
You know what?
No, I
Hi.
was I was Xbox in high school, and then I got to then I think it was no, I was no, so I was Xbox actually in middle school because I did Assassin's Creed 3 um games, and that's where with Connor, the American Revolution one, that one
That is
that
my favorite one.
yes, it is the best one. Then I think it was I went through all the Arkham City. I went through that for Xbox 360. um, that was when I went through Arkham from Arkham City. The only time I played was with the Xbox, and then our Arkham Knight. I recently got all four games on PS5. I think they were like $20 for all five or something like that. It was a deal, so I got those games. So I got Arkham
And
Knight,
and
Arkham
you saw a
City.
difference.
Yeah, yeah. So and Arkham Origins, which was my least favorite, but aside from that, yeah.
I
Oh,
didn't. I played a little bit of Arkham Origins, but I didn't get into it too much. But if I had to pick which three I liked, Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, Arkham Knight,
Yes,
Arkham City, I think is the best one.
Arkham City is the best one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I do like the Arkham, the car with the Batmobile, Arkham Knight. That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
right.
Yeah.
It just became of a chore. It just became a chore, in the game, which is what people complain about. But yet, that's what they asked for. So, you know,
Yeah, that's what
but
you receive. You know what I'm saying? You can't bitch when you ask for something. But so the old school games, what is your experience with that, Mike?
so I had the Nintendo 64. That's when I had the Star Wars pod racing game. In there. I think I had the GameCube as well. But yeah, I had that, and then I had what was it? Nintendo DS. I had the Game Boy, but that's where I had most of the early like Sonic games. For that, me and my dad we were on Mortal Kombat when I was younger. Um,
hold on. Who who kicked ass more, you or your dad?
my
Well,
dad
hang on,
always
hang on,
got
hang on,
me.
hang on. Mike, you said 64 before?
Yes,
You mean this thing?
yeah, yeah.
When
No,
he said that, I had to go
what's
grab it.
even then, like if you seen the recent Sonic movie, Sonic 3, like there was a joke in the movie that they were trying to plug in the chip to download some information or put this like system basically turn down these like shields and stuff, and then they had to take it out like, oh no, just blowing it, and everybody older just laughed. I was like, yes,
That's how it was back then.
yes, just blowing it. Yeah,
You're coughing up a lot.
But the
yeah,
thing
um,
is,
but
but I don't want to lose this thought. But when Mr. Bennett said the main purpose of the old school game was to retire the game, the X-Men arcade game was hard to retire. If you think about that,
hmm
because there
I
was a
had the X
four-player
Men.
version and there was a six-player version that you play on the arcade, but it was very
Yeah,
hard to retire.
Well, mind you, but you didn't retire arcade games. The only
yeah,
thing you look forward to was again you set the high score on the
True,
arcade game. So, like I said, in
true.
your neighborhood, you knew you were the best. Said to be the
Yeah,
man, like Ric Flair said, to be the man, you got to beat the man.
that
And
was
you,
one.
when your name PTB was number one, and everybody's gunning for you, that is what the only thing they could possibly do is maybe try to unplug the game and try to erase the stuff or whatever, and then that
for
you
me on
weren't
the
there.
computer?
But then you would say, yeah. Some guys literally go in back of the game, unplug it,
Ah,
and then it would have to do that boot up sequence or whatnot. But it would
yo,
wipe out. It would wipe
really,
out the memory. It would wipe out
really.
everything regarding
And
the
you guys
score.
call me a cheater for leaving my system all night
No,
on.
Yeah,
I never listen. I never did that. I'm just saying that's what guys
that
would do.
far,
Like desperate. It's like I
that
can't beat
far.
them, so I'm just gonna erase. I'm gonna dirty tactics to try to cheat and remove any memory that he ever did anything. But I'm still gonna come in next week and do it again. So that was the thing. He was like to be number one is what you strive for, and everybody knew who you were. Everybody knew your
That's
initials,
true. That is true.
and it was just like that's what it was all about.
But in Brooklyn, the arcade game that have that type of talking about bragging right was Street Fighter game and Mortal Kombat game. People will look for the initial and make sure it's not the same initial in the other neighborhood. When they find out you go into the other neighborhood, putting your initial, then it's like, okay, you starting a war right here. We gotta duke it out.
Yeah.
And I hate it when this happened after school. There's a
You
long
know what I
line,
hate more than that?
and
You know
no,
what I
hold on.
really hate?
After school, there'll be a long line. People put their quarter in front of you and say, "I got next," because they don't want you. They want to be the one to whoop your ass. And I hate when you get like 41 win, 46 win, and that is more painful if it's end the game. If you have the longest winning streak and no one haven't knocked you off, that is more painful. So it's not to getting the highest score as number one, or you to have the highest winning streak and you beating everybody behind in that game, in the fighting game. That was bragging, right? Because if you had that type of brag right in that neighborhood, you run the neighborhood in the game. When you come in, they had to clear the way for you. They're like, okay, the king is here. We gotta clear the way. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Then who the next victim? And you all wait and see who be the next victim to come in to get their ass whooped because we all know what will happen to us if we try to
and
play.
and we're also missing one aspect of old school gaming that again cannot be replicated, cannot be duplicated, right? A two-player game, a two-player arcade game.
It's hard to replicate.
Double
Imagine
Dragon.
myself and David on the same console playing either Karate Champ or Street Fighter or some game
Double
where
Dragon.
you're literally jockeying for position,
Mm.
where physical tactics are being used. David may give me a bump to try to throw my timing off. I may give him a shove back. If it gets too hectic, we may come to blows. Any kind of
Oh,
distraction to get you off your game, trash talking,
ah,
in your face, spittle coming at you and everything.
oh,
That was you cannot do that. I don't care how complex your
oh,
game all this virtual gaming stuff, you will never be able to. There's nothing like being able to talk trash in front of it, face eye to eye,
oh,
shoulder to shoulder with somebody as you're
oh,
jockeying for position for a game.
oh,
All these virtual guys all over the world. Yeah, I don't care if you're playing someone in China and someone in Iran and someone in whatever. It doesn't matter. You're not in my face. You're not gloating. Even with the
oh.
early consoles, at least you would be in the room with somebody and you're
Mm-hmm,
going back and forth. You're playing Tecmo Bowl and you're
mm-hmm.
going back and forth with somebody
Ooh,
to trash talk. And again, controllers would go down
mm-hmm.
and guys would be like, I
Yeah.
mean, fights had to be broken up. I mean, I'm talking about in the college dorm, fights are breaking out over Tecmo Bowl
Ooh.
because it's getting too heated in a lot of these contests.
But here's
All
the
this
thing.
virtual stuff, it's like that's why you have what they call them these keyboard warriors. It's the
Yeah.
same thing in the gaming
Ooh.
community. Nobody wants that real heat
Yeah.
when someone's in your face and whatnot. You can talk all the trash that you want.
Yeah.
You
Call
know you're
doesn't
never gonna
work.
meet these guys.
Mm-hmm.
So again, the standing arcade two-person console where we're going head to head and the jockeying that goes on, and then the trash talk that would happen when you had multiple players on the same game. That's an era that's never coming back, and it'll never be
I miss
duplicated.
split
But
screen.
hold on,
Like
Mr.
that was
Bennett,
like the
Mr.
early
Bennett,
two
hold on,
thousands.
Mr. Bennett. I had to slightly agree. They brought back that era, but it's more so with money involved, where they have all these huge video game competition that people come there. Sometimes people bring their own controllers, either be the regular controller or actually the joystick controller. And the type of trash talking I've been seeing some of these videos, I know that I might know exactly what I'm talking about. It gets heated. Some give you that little evil look like you're too small for me. You win a couple of rounds. Some go further and say you little work kind of thing. The worst case scenario, everybody's right there, the huge audience, everybody watch you on the big screen TV. Everybody either, oh,
Oh yeah,
okay,
the pro.
okay, see,
I'm
what
saying yes,
that what
yes.
happened. That what happened when you have a very beautiful wife who understands what you like the most. She makes sure
Mhm.
I make my hubby happy. He
Yep.
is blessed.
Yep.
But David, you're talking about. I don't care about audiences. It's me and you.
Yes, it's you
It's
and that
it's
person.
you leaving. It's you leaving my house
Oh, that kind of
with the
stuff.
bitter taste in your mouth. That I got you.
It got into gambling. It went from Techno
Oh,
Go.
100%. Yeah. Oh,
It
yeah.
went
Like
from
I'm saying,
Techno
that's
Go
we
to
had to have rules.
Madden.
No gambling.
Madden.
No. If it got to money, then look, I'm out. Because again, it would get personal and sometimes it would get violent.
Well,
If money became involved, saying no, the bragging right, I would only go as high as bragging rights.
I
And
think I,
again, knowing that you had to leave my house, knowing I got you.
and here's the thing.
That for us. That was enough. You didn't need but no money and all that. That almost brought a criminal
Well,
element into it that I
But
just didn't want to deal
here's the
with.
thing. I saw the Technobolt change from Technobolt to Madden. The thing I hate about the Madden part, people were getting worse with cheating. Because remember the PlayStation 2, you have that cartridge that you keep the memory in, right? So imagine I watched my younger brother beating my cousin, and my brother said, the way for you to beat me if you actually score a touchdown. And I thought my brother was joking, not thinking I'm watching him beating my cousin 32-0, 54-0, 65-0. And I was like, God. And I'm watching this, I'm watching my cousin getting sweaty. Mind you, he's much older than my younger brother, but my brother kicking his ass. And I'm watching his foot movement. And I can see where his foot was going to, going for the plug. Because
Oh,
no,
that's
every time you
fucked up, dude.
think about it, every time they lose, they record it on the memory stick. So he could not take the traction no more. So while he readjusted himself, I'm watching his foot movement. Since he cannot reach the plug, he looked for the reset button. And my brother, we blocked it. You take it like a man. You take the looter like a man. It got to one point he just got up and unplugged it. He didn't want that thing to be recorded. Then later on, it got even worse. He bring his co-worker in. I told him there's no fighting. So they'll play Madden, right? They keep doing the Madden thing. All of a sudden, I hear the betting money. And I told him,
Mm-mm.
if you go to bet money,
I'm out.
no, I think we're not going to fight here. You want to be on it, big boys, you keep it clean. So, not realizing it's not only my brother does it, many people in the community start doing the same thing. You put money down, you lose, you go home broke. So imagine everybody who work in McDonald's, Wendy, all these fast food restaurants in high school, come to the boy crib to bet money. Oh, I could whoop you in Madden. Then you lose your whole check. And no, you shaking your head. This is where the
No,
Madden
I'm not shaking
tournament
my
got.
head because I know how bad it got.
This is where the Madden tournament got to where it populated. People were doing little tournament among themselves. They put the money in the pile, and Madden heard about it and got into it. My brother went to the first round for the $50,000 Madden tournament, and he said there was no challenge. I said, why can't go all the way through and win the $50,
So
50
hang on a
grand?
second, David. There are two games out there. One was on 64, one was on PlayStation. Smash Brothers. Get it
Oh Lord,
64, plug those controllers in. Let's say somebody might walk out of that room with a bloody lip because he couldn't shut the fuck up because he lost and he's a sore loser. Now with SSX, tricky specifically. Well, nobody could touch me. I still have bragging rights in that game. Nobody can beat me in that game. Not even you, David. Not even you.
don't get your hope up.
Oh, I don't need hope. You may need
Okay,
luck.
okay, okay.
SX Tricky is I dominated that game beyond
Hmm.
dominated it. We had a little like a friendly tournament. I
Hmm.
was always first place, and I played with
I'm
Mac.
telling you, New York City, New Jersey, Connecticut, and Pennsylvania became the battleground for gaming money competition because Capcom heard of it, what's going on. Madden heard of it, what's going on. People are doing their own little tournament, putting money into a pot. That is where they thought, oh, they gaming tournament, when people start to win cash prize on it. Because they realized, oh, it's becoming a business now. People are showing up. They preparing. They prepping themselves. Like, Madden is the one that brought in the most cash in for competition. Of every game out there to this date that do competition, Madden brought in the most money because people were doing. You have like a game hub somewhere. Someone had like a gaming store. They come and compete. There was tournament all over the place. Madden heard what's going on. They decided to say, no, we're gonna make money off this, and that put it into the pot whereby you got to be an original winner. You got to win in the regional before you come to the main championship. That's how this market came about. But the thing is, it got so far. You have real professional, real celebrity who, no offense, AJ Styles cannot take a heat if you lose. You break his controller. No matter how many controllers that guy broken. Sheesh, just for losing. People are taking it too serious. Street
I'm
Fighter
not gonna lie,
was known.
um,
Street Fighter
David.
and
I'm not
Mortal
gonna
Kombat.
lie.
Hmm.
When I was younger, I went through a lot of controllers because I used to slam them like, oh, this fucking game's cheats.
And I call people like that punks because you cannot take the losing and learn from it. Then you're a punk to me because not only Madden make the most money doing that, with Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter was second. They were competing for second position because you know what? There were too many Street Fighter tournament going on. There were too many Mortal Kombat tournament where people were putting money down to see who is the real champ. But now it's an international thing that people winning $500,000 doing this. And you know the most embarrassing thing in the type of tournament? You don't want to lose to a very young kid. You don't think you do not. Because when it does that, Jedi Mike knows that he see these videos. Some of these videos, it will have your face plastered. You be like, oh god damn, you might want to go and hide yourself. Some of these
Watch
Here's the other one.
embarrassing loss.
Okay, you
Have
know
you ever
what really
watched Super
bugs me?
Smash Bros? The Salt compilations, of where they're
Oh,
like, they have these tournaments and everything, but all you're getting is people raging out when they lose, and they're throwing controllers, cussing them out, some getting fights and stuff like that. Uh, but yeah, but Super Smash Bros. Release, I think first was Brawl, then it was
Melee.
uh yeah, then Melee, yeah. So yeah, they were just showing just like a compilation of all the years and tournaments and people just basically just losing their minds and everything, throwing controllers and stuff. So yeah,
it was
You know
that
what
bad.
bugs me? You know what bugs me with these games? You can vouch for this, Mike. Is when you get put a game in, you download it, you buy, or whatever the case is, and it's broken coming out.
yeah.
That annoys the shit out of me. Back in the day, Nintendo 64, GameCube, the game couldn't be broken. It had to be perfect. They would delay it before they would go out broken. What the fuck is going on? Oh, because we have downloads, we can fix it on patch one. I don't give a fuck about the
No,
patches.
here's the problem. The game developer are being put through so much crap these days. There's the issue that's going on in the gaming industry in the back end, where some game developers are either quitting the job because they're fed up with what was going on, the directive of the game. Because some people take what they do too seriously. It's like a passion. Perfect
Mhm.
example: Metal Gear Solid, one of the most iconic games to date. The actor, the director of that game who built that game, walked away for the company because they made him want to water down his game. And everybody will know Metal Gear Solid game was never that easy game to begin with. You can start from the
Well,
easy level, then get normal, and when you get to harder, you start to realize the difficulty is like it's no joke.
but it's not. It's also you have the view in the mind of a company too now because it's going back to physical media. There's a time that you had everything completed in one physical disc, and then you will have that forever, and that's your ownership. Now I'm leasing or licensing it, or like basically leasing these films or games to you. But at the same time, I have the power to remove it, entirely. Even when it comes to what video games too, with the fact that they think, oh yeah, well, how we get benefit is that we get more updates. We can keep sending you,
That's the
updates
name.
on skins.
Hideo
Um,
Kojima.
updates on skins, updates on maps and everything. And then at some points, like we just have to force you to a point where I don't want to get this, skin canal. Like I only have this amount of file size for this amount of, for this console. Now you're telling me I gotta buy more storage on top of what I already have because now they're digital. It's not physical disc anymore. And even if it is, I still have to clear. I still have to clear a bunch of storage out
Space.
before I even have put a physical disc in there because then I've already have limited amount of space and stuff as the game as I'm playing it longer and after as long as it getting remastered and all of the stuff like that. It's just the file size to keep increasing and everything. But it's again for on a consumer standpoint, we're getting frustrated, but it's also to shift the market now to like, hey, the companies need to maximize the profits as strong as they can. And now it's a point we're not owning any of these physical media anymore, especially with games. So now, but you're seeing the flip of that because also like Blu-ray was it LG said they're not making Blu-ray disc anymore.
Hmm.
Um, and so I mean, it's gonna come a time too. Like the PS5 I have is completely digital, completely digital. I don't have no physical disc for the PS5.
Yeah,
Uh,
mine the same way. I have the disc version, but I downloaded it. I don't think the last time I bought a physical
But
copy
but but
was
but
before
here the
COVID.
issue. But here the issue. It started from the PS4 because the PS4 they allowed the room for expansion because in the PS2 there was a particular feature where you can actually plug a external hard drive, but you have to
I
have a
remember that.
unique expansion pack to be underneath it. The PS3 tried it with a little bit different from behind, kind of awkward. The PS4 is more so of changing the drive. The drive they have in there is more mechanical. What you need to do is swap it out with a solid state hard drive. The most you can put there is 4 terabyte. That's the max you can put for a solid state hard drive in there. Then put another extra on the outside. You can get it to an 8 terabyte or more to have more space. Now for the PS5, now here the problem comes to play. There's about maybe 3 to 5 companies that make solid state hard drive sticks for a game console. Now it's based on the compatibility issue. Is Sony don't make it compatible to certain hard drive, that hard drive not going to work for it. Some hard drive have much bigger capacity than the other hard drives. They have available in their lineup. And those bigger hard drives, based on new solid hard drive thick, it's not even cheap to be honest with you. Talk about 8 terabyte thick, almost like $1,000 or more. Now, who do you right might think will have the money for such a thing? Just so that, like John Mike was saying, the gaming is taking more and more space, so you want to put in more hard drive space to make you have enough space for your gaming experience. How you will pull that one out? That's the question. And
yeah,
shout out to Marcus. I'm glad Marcus told me these nuggets in there. God of War. I'm addicted to God of War 1, 2, and 3.
I
That's
agree with the guy. Hang on a second. I agree with what you're saying with that. I'm gonna use Call of Duty example. I'm not sure you hate to hear this, David, but Call of Duty is one of those games that every year it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Like to the point, like I remember, I can't remember if it was last year or year before. I had to get an external hard drive. I mean, not an external hard drive, the internal hard drive, and it was like Jesus. And then I wanted to play Call God of War. I don't know, and this shit. I'm like, I still don't have the fucking room. What the fuck, man? And it is not easy as plug and play. You have to put it in. You have to go through the process. You have to, go through the whole system. Has to recalibrate everything. I'm like, I remember the old memory cards. Though. I actually missed the memory card. You plug it in, took it with you, and go to your friends, play a game. What the fuck?
Here the joke. The Xbox Series was easy to hack and modify that issue because Xbox was more built like a PC compared to the PlayStation. And anyone who was in the gaming industry, PC industry like I am, who understand you don't have to worry about that space issue because all you have to do is you can take the whole Xbox, dis dismantle it and put it in another case and let it run and install extra storages. If you bypass that, well, you don't have issue with that. But on the PlayStation side, it's more of an issue because from the PS4 will give you more chance to expand the storage capacity. PlayStation 2 with a hassle. If from PS4, from PS4, It made it much easier. But the thing is, which hard drive company will rely on? That's the question. Samsung will continue to be the most reliable overall, based on that stable hard drive they have. Other hard drive, God forbid, may have more space, but it could burn out if you're not careful. That is
That's
where
my fear was I didn't get the wrong one. It burned out. That's why I bought mine directly from PlayStation. I said, "Fuck it, I don't have to worry about it." I know it's more expensive through PlayStation, but I wanted to be safe. I didn't want my system to get fried, or who knew what had fucking happened. They were hard enough to get. The PlayStations were hard enough to get in your hands. Imagine something goes wrong with it.
no, the PlayStation issue is keeping it cool. Just like any game console, when they overheat, it's a problem. And I hate to say that as a guy who been in the PC industry for so long. This also applies to people who have game consoles. Some people don't keep their area clean.
Have you
I've
seen the
seen,
old systems opening up?
Then not enough air
oh,
circulation.
I've seen a lot enough headache. Do you know what it's like to get an air compressor? The air compressing business was too much money because you know what? Everybody got to buy the air compressor can, and you got to wear a glove. Even when I'm talking, because you hold it for too long, it starts to get cold in your hand. Your hand starts to get stiff. Start to get arthritis. You were like, what the hell? You got to clean out your finger because of the freezing effect. Until you start buying the electronic one where we can plug in the wall and have a limited amount of air, but the thing is keeping it clean. Not everybody does that. The way you have a lot of issues, people who have burned out console, which they have been running for so long, there's not a amount of airflow going around the area. The place is not kept clean. It's dusty or it's a dust bunny bed around that area, or too close to the ground, all type of issues. So believe me, it fall into our area when we got to fix PC, you got to fix game console too.
If you
Or
see the old, some people open old systems, and it's like cockroach having eggs in there. Like
uh,
it's that bad, and it's disgusting.
that's
But
what
I
it goes
wanted to
tell.
touch base on this one comment, Marcus, my man. I'm going to disagree with you, buddy. I think Xbox only had one good game, Gears of War, and that's it. Everything else is.
Huh?
Uh
You
oh.
heard me?
Uh oh.
Huh?
Uh oh.
Yeah.
Uh oh.
You want to go at it?
One
Uh
good
oh.
game.
Uh oh.
Gears of War only.
Uh oh.
Yeah.
What
Halo
else?
sucks, in my opinion.
What Gear War sucks?
I say Halo sucks, in my opinion.
Oh, Halo. Oh yeah, Halo sucked. Yeah.
I
Huh?
rebuke. I rebuke.
Uh oh. Uh oh.
Okay, I'm
Huh?
listening.
Uh oh.
All right,
How?
Wally, you go first. Mike, you go next. Go ahead, Wally. You heard me. Did I stutter?
Welcome to the game argument.
Oh look. Okay. Lord have mercy. Okay. Let's play this game. Let's play this game. So you're trying to tell me Halo sucks because of what reasons now? I want to hear the reasons. Let's hear your reasons. Why?
Reason is a knockoff version of Call of Duty. That's all it is. I called you right out on it.
Really?
Call of Duty's been better.
Really? I would
Yes.
understand it.
Can I listen? You got hang on.
But
You
no.
you got. I know you guys are dealing with
Passionate.
gaming games that I haven't played and whatnot, but all of these games owe their origins to the original computer games, Wolfenstein 3D,
Mm-hmm.
which I got to the end of, and Doom.
Mm-hmm.
So all those gaming,
you?
every generation builds on another one. So I go back to that. So if someone's robbing somebody, you got to go back to Wolfenstein 3D, as that was arguably the greatest game ever made, because that opened up everything when it came to like single person shooter, 360-degree views or whatnot. So again, everything has an evolution. Everything takes bars from one. So if you're gonna say, well, Call of Duty, Halo stole from Call of Duty, you got to go back then, because everybody's stealing from somebody else. So that's just from this old guy's perspective. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But you guys can continue the conversation.
Mr. Bennett, on that part, I'll give it to you, because
I'll give him that.
if Spartan said Halo sucks because Doom, maybe he had a fair point. But you said Call of Duty. Like we're apples to oranges.
Listen, when I saw it, it was too many comparisons to me. You're like, wait a minute, that's so similar.
What comparisons? Please tell me. I would love to know.
When it first came out, it was exactly the same thing on a different system.
Yes,
Even
yes, yes. One side's facing humans with war stories, and the other
wait,
one.
hang on. Microsoft even said they created Halo to compete against Call of Duty because Call of Duty wasn't on Xbox at the time.
Compete, but does it mean that they're the same?
I never said that. I said a knockoff version. I said
again to compete. If you're calling it a knockoff, that means it is the same thing. So again, if you were to told me Battlefield versus Call of Duty, I would have an understanding. But you told me Halo.
I totally agree.
No. You told me Halo. No, you just lost me. You just lost. I'm sorry. No.
Hang on.
No.
I'm going to go back to my original statement. Xbox only had one good game. Like I said, Gears of War. Give me 5, except Gears of War, you can't use that one. And you can't use Halo. And 5 games that come out year after year since the launch of the Xbox.
It's been a minute for me, so you probably have to ask Jedi, but it's been a minute for me since I last touching
Jedi.
But I can definitely search up. So
what was that?
Name 5 games from Xbox that has come out year after year since the launch of the Xbox One. I mean, original Xbox. Excuse me. You cannot use Call of Duty. You cannot use Gears of War.
It more like it has to be exclusives because Call of Duty.
They don't have a lot of exclusives. That's the problem.
There you go.
Yeah, but no, the biggest reason to go to Xbox is for the Game Pass. I will give them that. I'm not arguing that part. That part that they done a really good job of that. They did a very smart job of buying the company that makes Call of Duty. Help me out, guys. You know what I'm talking about. They have done a great job of buying studios. I'm not gonna argue that. I can argue that because it's facts. But I can argue for the longest time till now, they didn't have a lot of exclusives. They barely had any exclusives.
That is true.
Versus PlayStation.
Some of the exclusive for PlayStation, they had to compete with the company to get a particular exclusive only for the Xbox, but not for the PlayStation either.
So people were questioning my IQ of gaming.
Wow.
This is a personal opinion. It's not an IQ question. It's a personal. I have argued with CQ. I argue with actual Ken Smith. I've argued with a lot of people about this. It's a personal opinion. I think PlayStation is a better system.
It is. So what's the issue?
No, I mean, argue. Well, here's the thing, though, right? Xbox, because here's the reason. PlayStation, you could say is a better gaming system for the simple fact that it's only that. Here's the problem, though. What was the biggest problem about PlayStation the whole time? You couldn't play classical throwback games, unlike Xbox. But that's the problem of Xbox is pretty much your everyday PC controller. I mean, your PC computer. So
now, but it wasn't always like that either.
But it was longer though.
No, but while I do have a point because there was an issue with backward compatibility. You buy the PS2, you can't play PS1 games. When you buy the PS3, you can't play the PS2 and PS1 game. Then when you buy the PS4, the same nonsense. Now you got a
David,
PS5.
remind me.
It's okay. Sacrifices have to be made. It's okay.
Let me ask you guys a question. David, you probably remember this very well. Who had the or Ring of Death again? Was it Xbox, I think?
Low blow.
Ring of Death.
Low blow.
I'm just saying.
Hey, I'll say this. To be fair, yes, y'all able to have batteries inside y'all controller, and then Xbox people have to buy the actual battery pack recharger, and then recharge it.
And it usually dies after a few months.
Oh my god!
Few months.
It depends which version you get. If you get a good version, you might get a year or two out of it. If you get a cheap version, because there are cheap ones out there too, let's be honest.
It never did that to me. I actually bought the actual battery that's supposed to be aligning with it.
No, I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking about you can buy like a cheaper version from GameStop. Or you can buy this for $50, or you can buy this for $10. They have some.
Yeah, but usually the $10 that's like wired in. It rarely wireless, so I don't see that. But okay, let's see here. I'm
But
still
the
gonna-
thing is, these arguments between PlayStation and Xbox have been going on for ages. It had. And a lot of the issues have been dealt with based on hardware issue depending on the manufacturer. Because it, in some kind of way, there's almost a lawsuit against Microsoft for that, bring a debt issue, because they found out it was becoming too common. And what would cause that? And in a very unique way, it kind of forced you to buy another one. The PlayStation issue was more of a backward compatibility issue, but it's more of a marketing issue. They feel like if you want to play your old school game, you keep both consoles instead of having everything on one console. Right now, in PS5, allowing backward compatibility with only PS4 games, unless they emulate the PS3 game or how to remaster it. That's what they're doing, but they understand that if you want to satisfy your fan base, you have to somewhat cater to it. If you don't cater to it, you lose them to the other competition, so to speak. That's the issue. But let's not forget, before the PlayStation, the Xbox issue, Nintendo used to be the leader back in the day, and it dropped the ball. Then we had Panasonic 3DO, which was supposed to be the first of its kind before they
Well, hang
dropped
on,
the ball.
David. Hang on. Even before PlayStation Xbox rivalry started, we had the Nintendo versus Sega rivalry. Oh, Sega's better. No, Nintendo's better. They were great systems on their own, both of them. I'm not saying Xbox is a horrible system. I just am saying I think PlayStation is better because of the exclusives. That's all I'm saying. I do think we need an Xbox in the world. I'm going to say that. I don't
Yeah,
think
it's
it's
called a
better.
PC.
Fuck you.
I mean, the honest truth, it's called a
No,
PC.
no, why they no, it has always been that way. It ever been a PC. Anybody who have been heavy in the PC arena knew about the structure of the Xbox. Xbox was nothing but a glorified PC in a
I
box.
mean, notice one thing: anytime you get a PC, it always had Xbox stuff in it. It's never a
Yeah, it
PlayStation.
does
So,
now.
Yeah, because Microsoft is owned by a PC company. Xbox is buying
well,
a PC.
and there you go. That's why it makes it so
But
easy
but
just to
it,
say a
it's
PC.
it's not just that. You can almost play Xbox game on your PC without having an Xbox. That's the harsh reality. You're indifferent. The Xbox is limited to what unique hardware. If you have a custom made PC like I have, or you want to tweak to the maximum, you don't have to play your game on your Xbox. You just move it to your PC that have higher spec and join the full birth of the quality you get off that.
Right. Well, okay, look. As far as the games that I've just now looked around and actually try to remember, so the only other game I can honestly say that is exclusive, that is rare to the Xbox, is the Forza Motorsports. Other
That's
than the
one.
I
Gears,
haven't heard.
other
Did
than
they
Gear
come out a new
Wars,
one recently? Because I haven't heard anything about them in a while.
uh,
No, it's
I
still
have not.
existing,
But
but
I know
they're
I
not going.
remember the game because I used to play it, and it was actually a good racing game. So,
I'm not disagreeing one bit. I'm not disagreeing with that
Marco is
one bit.
helping you
but
guys
then
out.
again, to my a lovely history of Gran Turismo, I can't deny my Gran Turismo.
No one can.
That's my point.
No, Gran Turismo is like the king of all racing games, to be honest. But they create Forza Motorsport to compete with Gran Turismo, and there was another game that also competed with more Need for Speed. Need for Speed was another cool game, but it
There was
was
nothing
more
that
for
could compete with Need for Speed. In
Need
my
for
opinion.
Speed was more so of the underground racing when you have people that have customized car with the drift and all the other stuff.
It was
But
one game that came close to it. Nightclub. If you guys remember
Which
what
one?
game?
that. Nightclub.
Nightclub is Need for Speed, isn't it?
It is. It's nightclub.
No, it was
But
a different one. I thought.
no, Need for Speed nightclub. That was a branch under Need for Speed. Yeah, it was Midnight
No, it was a
Nightclub.
different game. I can't remember which game. It was a different
It
game
was.
than it probably.
It was completely different, but it was a very popular game in the PS3 era. What I was mad about, I was not able to find that on the PS4. Which I was like, why did they drop the ball? The game was so cool. Because you can customize a car in many ways, form, and fashion, and they took that idea and added to Gran Turismo in a unique way, but it's not.
I'm sorry. The name of the game was called Midnight Club. I apologize.
Yeah, Midnight Club is still part of. It's still part for Need for Speed
It is.
as an extension.
What I'm
It's a
seeing
very
here,
popular
no, it's
game.
not. It's Rockstar who made that one. Here,
Yeah, it was Rockstar.
Hold
Yeah,
on.
I got it right here.
My bad. put on there.
Right there, Wally, right here. Look up. See?
Yeah, Need for Speed Undercut. The last time you see that game was
Midnight Street Racing. I'm pretty sure Midnight Club is literally a connection, but
I thought it
They,
was too,
they
but
were. I think they used similar engines. I cannot be
yeah, the
too
last
positive about
game
that.
they
I might
came
be
out
wrong.
with, the last time they came out with that game was the PS3. They never came out with the PS4, what I was mad about. But I wanted the coolest game out there for racing. Then again, Gran Turismo was more to realistic racing because ever since then, if I couldn't compete with them, they had a Gran Turismo channel where people actually trained to drive real cars. And that has been a thing going on for almost a decade now or more.
See, one thing I would say about a PlayStation era, they had some really good games been coming out. Not only PlayStation, even the Xbox era. That era right there, they had good games. Like what was it called? Street Two. You guys remember that one? The basketball game.
Hmm.
There's one of them. We had Metal Gear, obviously. We had Max Payne. We had Jumper, Tony
What?
Stark.
Hold
We
on.
had Twisted Metal,
What about
SX
NBA Jam?
Tricky.
NBA Jam was one of the most popular games in the neighborhood.
Absolutely. Top Gun
And
came out back then too. There were a
hold
lot
on.
of games back then that were like they were pushing the envelope. Now they're all of them are, all game companies are playing it safe. I don't. When is the last time you saw a game come out and you go, "Wow, I need to play that"?
That was a couple of years ago, almost a decade ago. Because here the reason why. Game developer was more challenged to produce real, authentic, and challenging games. And Marco correct, the Need for Speed Carbon, what it's Midnight Club 2, Midnight Club 3, Double Ditching with fire. It was. And here's the thing. Rockstar had that game, and why did they stop it? I still like to know. I might have to do research about that. That was a very popular racing game. But there was a lot of great iconic games that been made back in the early days. For some apparent reason, it fall onto the studio that was responsible for building that game. Either they did something
okay,
with a
so
new
Midnight Club
company.
may just be an extension. Maybe it's be its own thing.
It is. I think it is an own thing. To be
Yeah,
honest
'cause
with
It
you.
I
had to be.
swear I thought it was a connection.
Maybe it was a no
It's
thing, but
listen, I'm not bashing you because you're wrong. I'm not saying that. I'm saying like I've been wrong on my own channel. Trust me. I'm not. It's okay.
it would have
It
very
just
it was one of the most popular racing games by far. And for that to disappear in the PS4, you're kind of like, what took place? Yeah, it was on a Rockstar. Rockstar owned that game, the same company that
so
did.
the rumor. What I'm hearing, I have no hard evidence. This is a rumor I heard. They're actually working on new Need for Speed. It's coming back to the new this generation gaming. I'm not sure
Need,
it's gonna be exclusive to
Need
PlayStation
for
or it'll be
Speed.
cross platform. I'm not sure. They're bringing it back. That's
What Need for
they're
Speed?
yes.
Need for Speed have been make they've been making games for Need for Speed for a while.
I'm not. They haven't made one for PlayStation 5 yet.
Hold on, let me
The
Google
last
this now.
PlayStation 5 game that came out was, I'm looking at it right now, Need for Speed Unbound, and that literally dunk. And the other one was
Okay,
Most Feast. I'm talking about Underground. They're gonna bring
yeah,
back
Need for
Underground
Speed. I,
series. The
okay, let me.
Underground or Most Wanted. I
They've
can't
been
remember
making.
which one I read.
The, the last game they made was back in 2022 called Need for Speed Unbound. That was
Yeah.
for the
What I'm
PlayStation.
saying,
Yes, I
David,
know that.
is the rumor heard and read, I should say, is they're maybe bringing back Most Wanted or what's the other one? Most Wanted or
Was one with 2012.
yeah, no, they might be bringing that back, the series back because the last
Mm.
couple of Need for Speed games kind of dunked. That's what I'm saying.
They got too
There's
many.
some old game systems, old like classic games. Double Dragon's coming back, and some other
I I
ones.
I saw the revive for PlayStation. I wasn't feeling that one. What they
So
need to bring back is Midnight Club. That's the
there,
game to bring
okay,
back.
I'll give you a better one. I want to see come back. Splinter Cell.
Okay, that is the competition for Metal Gear Solid.
Okay, so what's the point? I think it should come back. You don't think
You're
so?
right. I believe so.
I think
It
it.
should, but it should bring back the Midnight Club. The last game. Let me see. Hold on. I saw some news about Midnight Club Los Angeles is peak on open rate. That's weird. They got a Midnight Club Los Angeles.
Hmm.
I never know. No, I've been looking for Midnight Club for the games. There's no Midnight Club anywhere for PlayStation. I don't get that.
Like I'll give you another remake that did really well. I thought, in my personal opinion,
And that's what I'm trying to point
was
out.
Final Fantasy. Go ahead, David.
There are so many iconic games that back because they have a massive fan base, but it's all fall down to the company that produced the game and what the production issue behind it.
I
That's
agree.
what I'm looking at.
There are
Because
a lot of games that should come
will
back.
agree with me,
Yes.
gentlemen, will agree with me, just like game that disappearing because acquisition going on. Microsoft doing a little annoying thing is acquisition other gaming company, hoping that they'll build game for them, but the people not agreeing with the direction they're going, and they say, okay, abandon ship. The lifespan
So
for a
I
game
know,
developer in any company, 5 to 10 years. After 5 to 10 years, they made their million of it. They don't want to deal with the company
and that's
anymore. They feel like
pushing
the
it.
company is going the wrong direction. What do they do? They retired.
So here's another one that there are a couple games that came out recently that did really well. Resident Evil, the remakes, and Final Fantasy Seven remake. I think both of them are actually very good remakes. They did justice to the series. Is it good as the classic? No, of course not. But I think they did a really good job. And, like, and I know the ones I'm just looking at the list right now. Legend of I'm gonna put butcher's name. Khan, Soul Reaver. So they're remastering 1 and 2. This is a PlayStation 1 game. Again, okay, I'll give them that. There's some games they're bringing back. And that makes me question is, are game companies out of ideas what to make? They have to bring out, open the vault and bring some old classics back?
I mean, at this point, yeah. I mean, because you got to think about it from the when you think about a classical game, and then you think about how far you can stretch it. The storyline has to really make sense if you're going to expand it, because eventually some of these things just got to end. For instance, popular game throughout like decades, decades of gaming. Final Fantasy. You sit there, you'd be like, that's a long term game because you have multiple chapters of it. But you have to ask yourself, when does this end? And then the create story towards that. So it's just one of those many
The
plays where
argument thing a lot of people have with Final Fantasy is because the story from 7 to 8 to 9 is not continuation. It's a different story every time, a different universe. In other words, so
see, and that's
really,
why but think about it, different universes that keeps it flowing. Well,
yeah,
it
I'm not
keeps it
arguing that
going.
one bit. Paul, you want
But
to jump in
doesn't
here? What
that
do you
go to
think?
the point that I made
Maybe
earlier about games
maybe
having in it? Games should end. There should be a retirement. A the story's been told. You've gotten to the end of whatever it is, and games should naturally retire. But for profits or whatever, you just keep trying to bring it back. It's like the sequel. How many bad sequels have we seen in movies and whatnot? Where it's like, yeah, you probably should have.
God,
After the second one, again, only if you shout out to Return of the Jedi, and similar things that that can get to a sequel like that. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with retiring something.
Well,
And
I
but
mean, with that to that point, I mean, I interviewed Ed Boon just past San Diego Comic Con. He's the creator of Mortal Kombat, and so like he like I was asking him like, so you're into the point where we're interviewing him for Mortal Kombat 1, which is a reboot of the whole thing, and it's like so, but yeah, you still want to continue on in terms of this this legacy of Mortal Kombat, and yet we want to keep not having a definitive end, except trying to bring back returning characters, just like in different versions and etc. Stuff, creating a separate game. Like they did that with Injustice. They can still do something similar with other IP, and actually instead of just relying on the Mortal Kombat brand, but at the same time, again, it's profit. It's still we just recently just had the movie, and we're getting a sequel. I think it's coming out next year or so. To that, but again, it's only there to drive revenue, thinking that hey, it's more beneficial for me as a studio to milk this IP than to create new ones that are not off rip financially bankable, because it could be a risk. I'm introducing a new game, new character, etc., new story, and that's more work than just me trying to milk this IP I've been doing for 20 years. It just
Oh, uh, oh,
Metal Gear is a great example. They're bringing it back, and it's a great series.
Right. But
But
then get back, but let's get back to the point of the show. Was gaming harder in back in the day? Yes, because again, there was a physical demand on the body when playing these games. It was about your hand-eye coordination and your endurance and how you can endure. That was but then when games started to get more story-based, then again, how long you gonna keep these things going? But where's the challenge, especially when you're playing other players? I mean, for me, I don't call me. I'm a sports guy. My background's in sports or whatever, so maybe I just have that sort of competitive part of it. That's why I think sports games will never be. You can come out with Madden 150, and it'll still do whatever it is. But as far as these fantasy games, these story-based games or whatnot, yeah, you're always going to run into some sort of creative entity. But games that are about but for me, it's about the competition. And so again, sports games, I think we won't typically have this problem, or racing games, or anything where there's supposed to be a victory at the end, bragging rights, and all kinds of things. I think to me that's still where it's at. Gaming was, even back then, it was just an opportunity where, again, you couldn't go outside and play physical sports. You couldn't play baseball because it was raining, or football, or whatever it was. You still brought that competitive edge into your house when you had multiple guys on and playing. And again, it was about, who was number one, who was the best. And I think when you lose that when it comes to games and you're just getting through a story, I don't know how that's going to, does that really satisfy the human need? I think, again, for that sort of competition, that challenge to be, again, who's number one, who's the best out there. I think as long as you take that away from it, I think you're losing something.
I think
yeah,
back
I
in
would
the
agree too.
day,
What you're saying.
it was the first of all, you couldn't go on YouTube and say, "Oh, how to beat the final boss," kind of thing,
No.
or like, give me a walkthrough. You had to get a book if you wanted a walkthrough book. Like Zelda was one of the you needed a walkthrough for Zelda sometimes. How
Yeah.
difficult, and they were fucking thick. Yes,
And
David.
even the ability to find out, like, no one knew, like, they programmed it into the game. A lot of those we used to call them Easter eggs, right? Left, right, up, down, A,
Oh,
B,
the code.
start. Yeah, but that's built into the game. So again, the idea of you exploring these things in addition to the gameplay, you had these things that you sort of had to figure out. So my thing is again, that's right. I mean, all these people giving you stuff. So I think gaming in many respects is softer. Using a sort of a modern day parlance, there's
I'll give
softer
you an
gamers out
example.
there
I'll give you an
because,
example.
again, if you're given all of the guides and how tos and whatnot and how to beat certain things, and you guys were talking about hacking earlier. Again, you couldn't hack an arcade game. Or you couldn't even, or you got a game cartridge. You couldn't hack the cartridge.
You're wrong there,
But now
David.
guys
No,
have
you're
all
wrong.
these shortcuts to get around because, again, these games are more based on like computers now, and hackers are able to get in on these programs. I mean, where's the thrill in that? I mean,
But
so
then
so again, if
better.
like I said, that gaming back then, it was your precious 25 cents or 50 cents or $2 or whatever you were allotted that day. And you had to make the most of it, or else you lost, or you went home. But everyone's looking for a shortcut, and again, is at the end of the day, are you going to be that much more satisfied? At the end of the day, congratulations, you hacked the game. Okay, where's the victory in it? Again, I'm the old guy here, so excuse me for my
No.
I get off
What
my
I was gonna
lawn
say,
rant or
David,
whatever, but
actually, you have
I
a good
just think
point.
that when I hear all this talk of this technology, guys hacking programs and whatnot, that's not gaming to me.
But
But
Paul, I was gonna say to you, hang a
let me
second,
ask him.
David.
No, hold on. Let me ask him to Paul Bennett. You would think about sport game. NBA Jam was one of the more iconic, classical sport games that should have never disappeared. The only difference you have to do is add new players. We have
Mhm.
so many NBA players we could have utilized for that game. Why did that game stop? That's the big question to be asking.
Yeah, I
You
don't know.
mentioned
I
you mentioned
think
sport.
yeah.
And
But
NBA
mind you,
Jam was
NBA
awesome.
Jam was initially a stand-up two-player console. You played either against the computer or you played one-on-one.
Uh-huh.
Like I said, those days. So imagine I'm looking at Wally and David in one of those arcade games. You guys are elbow to elbow, shoulder to shoulder, trying to get any and every advantage to try to outdo the other person to get you to think differently or make a mistake or whatever and get an advantage of somebody. That's how the initial NBA Jam, that's how it started. And
Mm-hmm.
then when it went to the platforms, again, you had the trash talking and whatnot, but it wasn't the same thing. But again, those battles on the console, on the stand up, that is where it got heated. That's where the emotions got involved. That is when, again, you had to be mindful because anything can get you guys off an elbow here, a shift here, a lean to the left and to the right or whatever, trying to jockey for position, and then things could go off.
And you're totally correct because the same thing applied to this game. When I mentioned X-Men, the X-Men game,
Yeah.
of all the game console games I've seen that either two player, four player, or six player, that game was never being beaten properly all at one go. That game was always hard to beat. I've been knowing people who are going to the arcade trying to play that game. That was an iconic game, even though they had the TV series for that. When you mention all these arcade games, I can recall some of these arcade games should have never disappeared at all. Never. But it did. NBA Jam was one of the most iconic one. X-Men game was the second one. The Street Fighter and the Mortal Kombat game, it got big to the point where you had places like Funny Done Enough in Times Square, and we had that issue where people were hanging out there who were from the gang, creating too much problem. They had to shut down that business. Who was stupid, and you had the Broadway arcade with another location in that time to it. Did not go too far. They had the Dance Revolution game. That was another arcade game. But I hate to say this, but it's iconically true. But people who played that Dance Revolution game was losing weight because you're no longer using your hand, using your feet, stomping the arrow, and people were doing all kind of things. And with a
And
fun,
that's a lot of people why I bought the Wii because they don't. If
Yeah.
they're gonna lose
Well, those
weight,
games
they're
kind
weak.
of I talked about the Yesterscapes earlier. I know in the Menlo Park Mall there's a new uh, business. I guess it's kind of based on like the Yesterscapes where they got these arcade games there, but they're more like Japanese based games. And
mm,
now I've seen in Japan those Dance Revolution games were huge. So if you go in there, they have several of those, right? But it looks when you go inside, it looks like you're in like in a Japanese environment. The games are a little different and whatnot. So I think those games are still popular. You know,
still on the
several people
information.
play them. The only thing that used to get me was you had players and you had dancers. Like me, I thought it was kind of cheating when you constantly held on to the handle and you're just trying to get your steps down and everything. But you had people who like danced. I mean, no hands. You're doing the movements or whatnot. You're going back and forth. You're dancing. God just hold on, and he's just getting to try to get his steps down on the thing or whatever. To me, that's kind of
And the
cheating. To
reason why
me,
that bar was there, so some people don't have balance in their own body. So
some
when
people just
they,
don't have rhythm. I guess. I guess if you don't have rhythm,
while
I
they
guess
don't
you
shake
need.
your head, you know what exactly what I'm talking
Oh,
about.
no,
You
I
know,
know exactly what you're talking about. That's why I said. But
Yeah.
to the point of what you're saying, like in competitions, like I get it, right? Because there'll be times I'll watch certain games that are in the field of competition, and that is based upon your IQ or your physicality towards the game in some form or facets. So, like for instance, like what David brought up earlier, like Street Fighter, right? They'll give you the old controller with the buttons and that little that little swat, and you'll be in there. I've seen a couple of times where I forgot brother's name, I forgot the artist's name, but Lupe Fiasco, he was literally one of those big competitors out there that was doing that, and he was out there going to have fun. And all the other competitors you probably know that out there do it. So it's like that's still out there. Even like Yu-Gi-Oh competitions, those are still out there. Like Master goes like a crazy rave of just competing, like who's gonna have the better deck and stuff like that. They'll do that all the time. So I think the game of competitive is not dead. It's just like it all depends on where it's at. I mean, it's as dead as it was before when you're talking about arcade games like those types of games for sure. But in comparison, it really all really it all really depends because to your point, like if you gotta have like people make videos to where okay, I cracked the code and here you go, but you can't crack it yourself. You couldn't figure it out, but someone had to derail it to you, or you have cheat code books and all those other things. Then yeah, it sort of does takes the environment of completion out of the room because most people would just be like, man, F this. I'm just gonna click, up, down, whatever.
The people that are trying to, I'm glad you mentioned that. One, the people trying to bring that one back, they call them Evo, the Evo Ultimate Fighting Competition, but they have it every year, and they're based on certain fighting games like Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, Tekken. They do those type of things where they have people. It's like a tournament set. You gotta win the original before you go to the main one, and they'll have a huge order, the huge screen TV. And believe me, this has become an international thing because they brought back the challenge and the feel of it, whereby yes, now either you bring your own controller or you have the arcade style controller. I prefer the arcade style controller because it brings back the natural feel. Because let's be real, you used to set up for PlayStation more than set up for the Xbox. Because some people got tired of playing game on the controller. Cause let's talk about the wear and tear. John Michael showed his new controller for the Spider-Man game, but when it comes to fighting game, after a while, you don't feel doing this anymore. You want to have that joystick feel on your lap, and you have the button, or how you call them, the button
And
smashes.
plus the buttons,
But
those are like more harder competitions. Like if you don't know that type of style, you're pretty much screwed.
Yeah. And just speaking of those arcade games again, now again, sometimes you may be at a competitive disadvantage because again, guys back then, you would, bang those buttons like, bah, bah, bah. So again, if one side was defective somehow, it was really dependent upon the owner of the game. The store shop owner or the arcade. If you don't get a guy in there doing regular maintenance, and to make sure, you better have insurance, and you better be like, look, because guys would really wear those buttons out when it came to when it came to those games. Yeah, absolutely. So at least these guys aren't holding on. Like I've seen guys hold on to that black handle, and they're just stepping. But it's not about it. It's not artistic. It's not in any way anything that that's fun. Yeah. See, this is cheating to me. No, I'm sorry. It's like, look, hands off. They should just take the. So again, that's what I'm saying. Take the handles off altogether. It's
okay.
So that's what I'm talking about. This is
the new version of the Dance Dance Evolution.
This is different.
So one thing I want to
Now,
touch base,
if you
Paul, a
had
second. You said about cheating, code and cheating. We forget one major thing we used to have back in the day. And Marcus mentioned it earlier. What is it? I think he had it somewhere here. But anyway, it was Game Shark. Game Shark, you used to plug your game in and you get all the code and you
yeah,
and you were
remember
like
that.
1,000 lives, or you can jump 20,000 feet in the air. It will break the code. And in your case, the code, like the programming. But people don't understand. Like they're always going to be some kind of asshole who's going to cheat, and I hate that. Here's the comment right here I was talking about. As much as we want to say that's not gaming, and you're right, I was one of the guys who hated Game Shark. And he goes, I got Game Shark, dude. Like, no, I'm gonna stick to my routes. I was the only one in my whole school didn't have a Game Shark.
I didn't have a Game Shark either.
Because I played it. I got one towards the end of game Pokemon. That was the only reason I got it. And I felt it was cheating, so I got rid of it. I took it back to GameStop the next day. Or whatever, Funkoland, I think it was called back then.
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so I get it. And here's another one, Guitar Hero. Man, I can't understand how many guitars that people broke. You're jamming.
I'm sorry.
Oh
Guitar
man, I
Hero.
remember those days.
Hold on. Let me make an announcement. Guitar Hero made the most money ever. Do you know why I say that?
Guitars?
How many people came to GameStop to buy a replacement guitar or replacement drumstick because they broke the one that? Oh, I'm glad you confessed.
Oh, I'll confess you.
I don't know how.
Fuck you.
they
You
did
know
it.
I will be honest about that shit.
Man, forget that. How much got the whole set? the mic, the drum, the guitar, everything, bro. That
I know
thing was
somebody.
beautiful.
I know somebody. He's a friend to the channel. CQ. He's a huge guitar rock band fan. He has a whole setup.
Bro,
He
that
has literally.
was so
I was
good.
at his house on my vacation a couple years back. He had one person playing the drums, one person on guitar. We were jamming around like, somebody who's gonna sing. I don't fucking look at me, bro. And he had a singer and everything.
And the thing is, that game was so heavily popular
Which one?
because that brought in my Guitar Hero. Because here's the problem: it brought in the karaoke next level.
Oh God,
And no disrespect, John Mike, forgive me for saying this, but some people are not allowed to have the mic.
like you?
Don't even try.
Hey, I'm just being honest here, buddy.
Don't don't even. I'm a former choir boy, so don't even try.
Probably bleed my ears out.
No, just like what I'm talking about. We have a saying as African when people sing like a wolf. You have to look at them like, sir, I need to preserve my eardrums. Your singing is murdering me. Your singing is speeding my lifespan. Your singing is reducing my age limit. Am I wrong, Jedi Mike? Because if I say African party, when people are drunk and they start to sing, and you start to realize they're off, you don't want to hurt their feeling, but it kind of like, oh God, I beg, the thing making me turn. Jedi Mike understand that thing. He been there. I'm sure he had to be the innocent person not say anything because you don't want to hurt somebody's feeling. I had to give you that look like,
No, especially
I,
if it was a relative. Yeah, yeah.
I'll be the one giving that look. I can see why your wife left you.
Right. Yeah, I let the elders just take care of that. I mean, I just sit back and watch. I'm just like, oh, okay. I eat my
Now,
jollof
Paul, let me
rice,
ask you a question.
Wait, who?
Let Paul a question a second here. Paul, when the last time you touched a console?
Mm,
I remember being in serious. I would go to Best Buy, and they would have like the Xbox station open, and you could play like a round or two. So I remember Call of Duty when it came out, and I would just go there and play a couple rounds. It was like a demo thing before you bought it. So I would spend a little time in there. But either that or I remember I used to have I had a controller, but it was for my computer game. So I had for the longest time I still have it, but I haven't played in a while. But there was this MAME emulator, MAME, that had a bunch of it was able to convert the ROMs from a lot of the arcade games. So you would get the ROMs, you would load them into a folder, MAME would read it, and you were essentially playing the identical arcade game on your PC. And so for some of those games, I would use my keyboard, and then other games I had the controller, the typical 4-button. You had on the left side, you had the sort of the joystick side, or and then on the other side you had the buttons. And
in a restaurant in Brooklyn called Brooklyn, I think, yeah, called 8-bit Retro. They have a restaurant people could go there and eat and play retro game because I think people like Mr. Bennett, they're only addicted. I can't say addicted. They only relate to retro game because today's gaming industry, it's kind of like it's pushing a lot of folks.
Well, part of it, I honestly, like I said, I just don't have time, especially if you're talking about these story-based games. Now, it's not to say I haven't played games with a theme. Like again, I used to play. I'm drawing a blank now. Some of these games I used to like Sword of Vermilion for Sega Genesis. I remember playing Eric again. He had that. He had that game. We had Rygar and some of these games again. It had Ghouls and Ghosts. That was another one where again, but the idea was again you go through the stages. You defeat the boss of that stage. You got there, and at the end of the game, there was like an ultimate boss. and usually there was like a queen involved or something like that. You save the queen, you save the kingdom, everything is restored, and again, they play the music credits at the end with all the programming names and everything, and the game is over. Sort of Vermilion, yes, and so the game was over. And that was it. But yeah, as far as like an actual game controller, like the stuff that you guys are working now, I haven't touched one in years. Like I said, and even when Call of Duty came out, you took what 2005, 2006,
God
when I came.
damn.
So yeah, I haven't touched a lot of the the newer, and well, I would say maybe more because again, for years, my kids, they grew up with a Wii.
23 came out.
They grew up with a Wii. So again, a Wii controller, yes, but not much more after that.
Man, we gotta get you back into this, bro.
No, I don't have time. Like I said, these story based games, like I want to, the way like even on my phone, I have very few games. The game that I play most of the time, one is a baseball game. And the second one is like I may have Monopoly or I may have Spades, online Spades. Or the other game I play, it's like an arcade. It's like Galaga. It's like an old arcade shoot-up alien game. Ooh. You get to the next level. You can play against other people. You power up your ships. So, yes, you can play against more competitive players that have either better ships than you or whatever. And that's it. But I play just as a bit of a distraction. Okay, let's say I've been working on something for a while. I need 15, 20 minutes where I kind of disengage from everything and just, concentrate that. And then I get back to it. I don't have hours to play video games anymore. And so I got to get up in the morning. I got a long commute. I got stuff when I get home. I got stuff to do. So again, for some of the older guys, I don't see how they do it when you got stuff, you got family, you got kids, you got homework, you got stuff to do. So
you have a wife.
Yeah. So again, I mean, for guys who can still engage, I don't know, it's like, maybe if you got a job that's fully remote and you can put that time in, I guess, but it's like it's just like even being on YouTube or whatever. I mean, look, some of these shows that be going 5-6 hours, I can't, I can't be doing that anymore. I'll be watching some of these streams. It's like, y'all want one for 8 hours last night?
No.
I'm like,
this is why I keep it 2 hours on streams.
Exactly, I know you do. That's why I like being here.
Yeah, if it goes a little over, I'm okay with it. But whoever's want to drop off, I let them drop off. But I play. I have my 85-inch TV, my 8K. I play on that goddamn beast. But I don't play for hours on end. The last time I played was like a month ago. Because I don't have time. Like you guys, I work a full-time job. I have YouTube is a full-time fucking job on top of this. And whoever does it knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I have to take care of my mother. That's another full-time job. There's 3 jobs in one day. So me to find time to play is rare. But when I do, I play for an hour and I'll put it down and I'll get to it when I get to it.
Yeah. And then also, like, if your wife, not saying that she lets you, but really, like, I gotta get off. Like, guys, I gotta go. She's calling me and all that stuff, and I gotta go. I can't be doing no late, late night stuff like that. I mean, that was back in high school. Like in college, I couldn't do it. I mean, that's where gaming kind of put on pause. Because even then, like I'm at college, you would think, oh yeah, you can play games all the time. It's like no, no.
Well, guys, look, when I was in college, they did. Like I said, they would play Tecmo Bowl all night long, but then you walking out with a 2.1 GPA also. So, I mean, guys,
dude,
it's like if you're trying to be about something, then yeah. If you're engineering student, pre-med, some stuff. But if you're getting a liberal arts history degree, okay, maybe you can, or Africana studies or something, then maybe you can play all night and walk out. But look, if you got engineering with labs, the next day, it's like, nah, man.
Back in the day, guys used to bring their TVs with them. If they were in one apartment, with 6 TVs, it was Halo or Call of Duty. That's the one of the games that always everybody multiplaying. 5, 6 TVs in one hotel. Bed, in an apartment. Pizza coming in, Mountain Dew coming in. I'm scratching watching this like, how do you have fucking time for this shit? Even back then, I barely had time.
Yeah,
no.
I rebuke.
No,
Mike, do you remember that at least?
These days,
Yeah, yeah, no, because like they in engineer LLC my freshman year, like yeah, because they would have like gaming tournaments. Because this is when like we had Injustice coming out and everything. We would take that in either to the common room, whatever. But also Smash, but it got very toxic. To be honest with you, with Nintendo with that stuff. But yeah, we bring our GameCube controllers. 'Cause that's the only way I will play it. And stuff. But yeah, no, it was a time though. I mean, but yeah, I had no time until like even now, like out of college, it's just like at some nights I might come, at some of my fraternity brothers we're on a Discord that we all game. And it's only recently we've been doing this for about a good 4 or 5 months now. Now that all of us is like graduated and stuff, so and like and it's kind of like give us like a stress reliever, like from days from work or life and stuff like that. But I can't be on there all the time. I can't, you know,
Yeah.
you
I mean,
know.
if anybody, I might be in the best position because, again, my youngest graduates in May. So my wife and I are about to be empty nesters. So, again, on a Monday night, I might be like, I got nothing else going on if I wanted to engage. If I wanted to engage, because, again, my wife, she's all into her Hallmark movies and whatnot. So it's like, look, I could be back here on a podcast or whatever. She's watching Hallmark or whatever. We get together later on. But yeah, I mean the devotion that you would put in, or the seemingly endless amount of time that you had back in the day. Yeah, certainly other things take priority. That's why I couldn't even imagine spending the money. Like what's a recent PS station? What's like $500-$600 right now?
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. But hang
Yeah.
on, this is an
So
interesting comment that just came in. East Striker Universe has a gaming center as well with several PS, PlayStation, and Xboxes at a university.
and
Yep.
that's fine. I mean, Rutgers. I mean, they had at the student centers. They had arcades at every student center. So again, people played at pool tables. You had foosball tables, and so I mean, there's time for recreation. You know,
Yeah.
between periods. If you got a period between whatever, your lunch. I mean, people made their way into those. Certainly into those spaces to make room for that stuff, and then I certainly did when I was in college also. So again, I'm not saying there's no room for that, but again, the endless. If you bought, like I said back then, an NES, and you're playing Tecmo Bowl or whatever the game of the time was and whatnot, yeah, you had to put some limits. Or less, like I said, a Friday on campus was pretty dead because either kids went home over the weekend or whatever. There wasn't a lot. Like most of the parties took place on Thursday night because that was like frat night, and then Fridays.
Yeah.
But by Friday night, Saturday, can't the campus life is pretty dead unless there's like a step show or some other Greek function or like that going
Yep.
on. It's pretty
Mhm.
dead. So again, you can make time for that as well as long as your stuff is done. But yeah, you can't be doing it every night. It has to be at certain times. You got to be intentional about your time, how much you're going to devote to that, and be like, look, guys, I got to bounce. I got to so go. By the time Sunday rolled around, Sunday afternoon, you kind of put your study cap back on, and you're prepping for whatever it is coming up for Monday and going forward. So really, the gaming would take, and that not just the arcade gaming, because also at the time you also had a strong. No, but you Jedi. I don't know if there's a lot of a role playing games. So back then it was Champions, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. We had our
You
own D&D.
yeah. So again, the student centers over the weekend. That's when a lot of that stuff went on. Because, like I said, it was a pretty dead period. Nobody was really in the student center, so you can get a rec room or whatever and have multiple games and multiple players going on at the same time. So, like I said, back then there was space for that sort of thing. But again, as you get older, it gets tough, and kids change everything. So the Jedi enjoy your marital time. But you're gonna see it's gonna get a lot more compacted when
But it also depends.
when the kids come when you decide to go that route.
Yeah.
It also depends because if you have a gaming couple who they're both into it, then they will incorporate gaming in their marriage life regardless. But if one person playing and another person not into game, yes, that one person gaming time will shrink over the period of time. That is very common. But like I said, there are very well people who are both into gaming, which is very unique. I've seen it, whereby they have a room in their house that's designed only for gaming, and they have their PC set up. And later on down the line, they have kids, and the kids have their own PT set up in there, which I find like very unique, but it's very rare. Gaming's not really for everybody, but
I agree 100%.
when they mention the gaming major in college, they're trying to push to develop a new generation of game designers because they realize they're not on the same competition with the Asian group that build the best games out there, who understand the game dynamic behind it and the game engine. Because game development is not an easy thing. Let's be real. People have tried to get to that level of like, Kadir had them out more. I don't want to slaughter his name, but who were who don't design on Metal Gear Solid? People with that type of mind who could create special game that will challenge you are very rare.
Well, I don't actually, and I don't mind that per se because I think one thing that, like I said, in my day, computer science overall, a lot of the programming that you did, it didn't have anything that was necessarily practical in application. It was more so theoretical. You know, you understand how structures work, data structures, memory usage, and things like that. But it was never put into something that you could say this is interesting in doing. So whether it be, practical applications, software development applications, gaming, things like that. So I like the idea if they're going to structure a lot of the coursework around things that would get kids interested in tech. Like, what is this all for? And so for a lot of, because when you go to work for a company or whatever, they want to know, okay, what skills do you bring to the table? You may know the language, but do you know like why we're doing this? Like what's the you just know coding, but do you have any sense of design? Do you have any sense of user usability and things of that nature? So I think, having programs or having computer science programs or programming courses that focus on things that really get people interested. If you want to know the sort of ins and out of how these things work, then I think you would have a lot more kids more engaged and wanting to take the subject a lot more seriously. But I always found there was like always somewhat of a disconnect between, again, what you learned in the classroom versus what was, then you would go to the rec center and play something, but they never tied those two things together. And that was always something that was frustrating in my past, and hopefully, schools are doing a better job of tying those things together.
I'll tell you a funny story, Paul. I'm not sure if they're still doing it, but at one point the military was looking for individuals who are very good in video games because the droid programmer was just getting off the table.
Right.
Because when you're flying a droid, you're flying a simulation, pretty much a video game.
Yeah.
So they were looking for people who are very, very good at video games. And like, if you couldn't pass the ASVAB test, you couldn't pass the physical or anything like that, they'll ask you, "Can you play a video game?" I'm like, yeah. I'm like, show me. And they see what you score. They had a number already, in their files and whatever. You score, let's say 99 points something out of 1,000, whatever, right? It's just like they can get you the physical part. They cannot pass you the ASVAB test because if you're not smart, 2 plus 2 equals 10. They can't do anything about that.
Well, you even see
So
it in the advertisements now. Like if you look at the
yeah,
army ads, like it used to be like be all you can be. You were like rappelling off of mountains or jumping out of helicopters and doing all this kind of stuff. Now they're saying, look, the new war is cyber, and
it's
the new
digital.
war is drones and things of that nature. So again, guys who you could be that geeky gamer guy or whatever, but they're saying, look, there's a role for you in this. You still may have to go through basic training, but at the same time, if you bring a unique skill set or perspective that'll help in this new digital space, then they're making room for them. So I think the program, the commercials have changed, where they're bringing that aspect of it to the table, where before it was about physicality and endurance and things of that nature and challenging yourself physically. Now they're bringing the mental into it as well.
Yeah, I totally agree, Paul. I'm not disagreeing. Like Space Force is one of a good example. Yeah, they're part of the Air Force still, but they're mostly cyber for cyber attacks and stuff like that. People don't know
Yeah.
that. But we're getting to the top of the hour. Let's get our final thoughts. David, you want to go in first? Paul, John Mike, and Wally's last.
I'll just say this: this is one of my fun topics to get into because there's so much error in the gaming industry, from the Kalenko with Atari 20 to 2050, 200, etc. to the multifaceted game console from Super Nintendo days, from the Nintendo 64 days, the Nintendo Cube, the Panasonic 3DO, the Atari Jaguar. These things allow you to look back at what made the gaming industry what it is right now and how expansive it has become. But now I will say that though, it'll good to have these type of hard games that challenge you to come back more because some of these new games it's kind of making people dumb in perspective. That's what I look at it because just like Fortnite is a trash game. I'll keep playing it each and every. I don't know how people play that game. Jump forth another, but when Mr. Paul Better mentioned some classic game, those games brought back good memory. Those are the games that actually challenge your IQ and challenge your physical eye coordination, your physical ability to do such things. I think we need to get back in these type of conversation more and dissect on each era, like games from the 80s, with other games that really build your childhood to games from the 90s and to that. So I think we should do more of this type of episode later down the line because this is a very interesting topic and great to see Jedi Mike up in here, my little brother. It is something needed because you will realize how connected people really are in this gaming, well, this gaming industry is from age groups to different age groups. Right now, I'm just loving the conversation. Passing on to the next guy.
Well, I would certainly ditto what David said about Jedi Mike. I've always enjoyed on any panel that he's been on. He's a sharp, young, bright man who's doing things the right way and is a real role model, I think, for a lot of Zers and certainly younger millennials out there. So again, anytime I have the opportunity to share a platform with him, certainly it's a pleasure to do so, and it's a delight to see how your growth and your development. I just wish you the best in everything that you're doing. So, but that being said, for us, for my generation, for Gen Xers, it was about who's number one. So go back to, for you classic pro wrestling fans, again, back then when you looked at the NWA and you looked at, National Wrestling Alliance, and that sort of thing, it was more competition based. Who was number one? It wasn't about gimmicks. It was about who's the best in the world. When you went to that local arcade or that corner store, it was about who's number one, whose name is going to be on the top scoreboard. And you were competing every day to get to the number one position. So, yes, the stages get more challenging, they get faster or whatnot. But, again, it was like, could you endure and could you be on top? So, again, gaming was about competition. It was about pride. It was about bragging rights. And sometimes, like I said, it would get physical. But again, it was a different arena in order to compete in that certainly kept a lot of kids, especially in those days when you couldn't play outside, you couldn't play tackle football or baseball or whatever. It certainly was an opportunity for you to engage in another medium that still tested you mentally in so many ways, both the game itself and the external factors outside of the game. So that's the era that I grew up in. That's still the era that I enjoy. Those are more times than not, those are the games I play. So again, a lot of the games I play are still very simplified space shoot 'em up games. Galaga probably is my favorite game of all time. And I still play those type of games, but now I play those games oftentimes against, again, players around the world. But it's still about the competition. And so for me, having the endurance or having the skill set, the hand-eye coordination, the timing in order to pull certain things off, to me, that's what it's all about. And so I'll always be in that frame of reference when it comes. But I don't care about stories and things of that nature. Get in the game, beat the game, retire the game, on to the next game, on to the next opponent. That's what it's about for me. And so with that, yeah. So I definitely think that gamers of old, certainly from a physicality standpoint, from an attitude standpoint, I think we're tougher. And, there were just all these other variables that you had to deal with if you wanted to be number one. But at the end of the night, when everybody walked home or when you went either knowing, I got you guys tonight. We'll go again next week or tomorrow night, whenever the next time we meet. But for right now, I'm number one. I'm the rabbit, and you guys have to chase after me. That's what it was about. Competition.
No, yeah, thank you guys for having me here. No, always good seeing you guys and stuff. But yeah, no, and I appreciate Mr. Bennett. Thank you for your kind words and guys and stuff. Man, yeah, this was a good conversation. And too, I did a review for a show on Prime Video called Secret Level, which is basically an anthology series that they adapt video game properties into like short, like 8 minute stories and stuff, like Pac Man, Mega Man, God of War. Gears of War. I also think Dungeons and Dragons as well. But yeah, they've been doing great in terms of Warhammer as well. Great in terms of storytelling. They got renewed for season 2. So if you're a video game lover, make sure you guys go check it out. But I did a review on that on my channel. But yeah, thank you guys for having me here. Again, anytime, whatever, just send me the link over and stuff if I'm available. More happy to. But yeah, but thank you guys for having me.
Well, the end of the road. No, look, this has been a fun topic. To Mr. Bennett's point, I still do believe there's still competitional games. It all depends on what you're accessibly willing to play and which one you're willing to play. Because I play some very competitive games right now, and it is a stockpile just to get up there. Because there's ranks, there's divisions, there's everything. David, you know one of them, Raid. Very competitional, especially amongst players. It's horrible, horrible. But one thing's for sure though, I will say this though, as far as if we were to speak on just the gaming environment of storytelling, look. You know how they could have did Mortal Kombat 1? It's real simple. Just advance it by just saying that these people from yesteryears had kids. And you move them on to the next generation. It's just that simple. Like, it don't have to be complex. We don't got to stick to the same old characters every single time. Like, some of them, yeah, they got kids already, but even then, it's like a lot of them could have had just kids and just move the story forward. You could have just revamped the whole thing and just start fresh. But no, we had to just keep on rotating characters over and 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 over. And again, it's a never-ending cycle. And as much as I love Street Fighter, like it's sort of becoming the same thing. I mean, they're bringing in new guys in there in the mix, but it's like, ugh. But with that said, look, at the end of the damn day, gaming, like that's the tough deal with game. It's neither A, you got to find the competitional side of it all, or then you get the story mix. It's like there's a lot of it that's like it's a pick and choose how you look at it, everything. Because like even with Batman, I remember when I was playing one of those games, like the Batman Arkham Asylums, like the secret stories, like just to find how to get to the secret story, just to be able to do it. I'm like, okay, you know what? Screw you guys. Screw you guys. What's the point of putting it here if you can't even get to it? It's like, all right, forget about it. Just forget about it. But yeah, but look, games, especially in the old days, because you had to play with that joystick and the buttons, were definitely brutal, even when it comes to arcades. But they still got a lot of the classic arcades. Even if you go to the movie theaters, they got some arcade games. At least as far as the one I know of. I don't know about you guys, but they definitely got arcade games right there. Either you got the shooting gun and you popping aliens or whatever you're popping, race cars, however it is. But they still got that out there. It's just you got to go there wherever you get that buzz for. So, but yeah, great show overall.
All right, before we go, Mike, I don't know if you're still on your camera. During New York Comic Con, actually, I was privileged to interview the creators of Striker Level. So that was pretty good. So it should be on. Well, we're doing a favor for Pop Culture Warrior, our friend CQ over there. Me and Paul interviews from few people. So we got it was a pretty cool experience meeting the creators of that. I'm not gonna deny that. And you're always welcome here. So I want to give you the offer now, and hopefully you're listening. Next week we're doing a show called Game Over: The 2024 Video Game Crash. I feel like a new gaming crash is coming very soon. That's my personal opinion. But before we go, I have a little surprise for everybody. So let me get everything set up here. Get the video going. So, that will be our new closing. Closing. Trying to put the words together right now in my brain. Our closing intro. So Mike, did you hear what I said before? Or no. I
Sorry,
can't
I
hear
didn't
you.
hear
muted.
you. I think
Uh,
you're.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
good now?
So during New York Comic Con, me and Paul had a privilege to interview some people for Pop Culture Warrior, a good friend of mine, CQ. I had a privilege to interview the creators of Next Level, actually. So I was in a room. They were pretty cool guys. I'm not gonna lie to you about that. So, and I want to offer, like I was saying earlier, I want to offer you next week if you want to come back on. We're doing a 2024 gaming crash. Because the way the game system is going, I feel a crash is coming pretty soon. So you're more welcome to come. I'll send you the link on Facebook next week.
Okay.
Except that, David, anything?
Not at this moment right now because I'm liking what we are doing so far, and I would love to see John Mike on this platform more often because
He's always
this
welcome here. He
guy
knows
have.
that. He's just a little too
No,
busy.
you don't understand. I watch him a lot, and I see the expansion what he have been doing. He had a lot of great interviews, and I'm like, that's my little
I
brother
think
making
I
big
speak for
things.
everybody,
I have to take my hat off to
Mike.
him.
I think
I'm proud of him.
I speak for everybody on this platform. We are proud of you and very happy it has you far. I'm just hoping I can catch up to you one day.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I got. I
Bro,
mean, yeah,
you setting the trend. You setting the trend. I have to respect you for that. I'm like, I love the interview, and I love the question you be asking. You don't get no easy question. They're looking at you like, look at this nigga.
yeah.
He's trying to call me
Yeah.
out.
No,
Paul, you got anything before we go?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Mike?
Good show.
oh no, I'm good. No, I'm
Yeah.
good.
Wally, anything else on your side?
We're all good to go.
All right, let's get out of here, guys. As always, this is a grooming. Grooming review. So that's old school. Spartan SQ Network. As always, stay fresh, stay safe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.
Peace. Take care. Good night, guys.